is back with us for our constitutional assembly.
Well, it's good to be back. Yeah. So, I'm not going to start with my usual quiz. I think this one we know how many rights are enumerated in the First Amendment, right? If you don't, right? 5, right? We knew that, right? And at this point, if you're cheating, you could name all 5, right? But without looking, how many of y'all think you could name all 5? Okay, I know we got a few. I know we have some in the room that could, okay? So, speech, press, religion, maybe going out of order, assembly, and the right to petition for redress of grievances, right? And guess what? Every one of those you'll also find where? In the Texas Constitution. Put me in the next slide there. And so I kind of lay it all out where we see our First Amendment carries over into our Texas Constitution, right? And so at this point, we've been going through the Texas Constitution for a little over 3 years now. Hard to believe it, isn't it? Been up here doing this for 3 years. And so we're up to section 27. And so go ahead and give me that last slide. Right of assembly, petition for redress of grievances we see in section 27. In the first part we see, the citizens shall have the right in a peaceful manner to assemble together for common good and apply to those invested with the powers of government for redress of grievances or other purposes by petition, address, or remonstrance. Okay, so we see the language varies just a little bit. But now here's one of my other little pop quizzes. So what was the only lawful restriction on assembly? Peaceful. That's right. So any other restriction is actually an unlawful restriction. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about is that very last word, remonstrance. Oh wait, can you give me that last slide? There we are. Remonstrance. Now that's not a word we use in common language today. As a matter of fact, I looked it up and it looks like we haven't been using that word nearly as frequently as we did 150, 200 years ago. And so what is a remonstrance? A remonstrance is defined as a protest, an objection, an earnest presentation of reasons for opposition, a complaint, a grievance, or a criticism. So these aren't nice words that we're saying to our government. As a matter of fact, that first one, what was it? Protest. Which kind of gives us some indication, we're talking about more than just words, right? We're talking about some actions here. A protest is when the people come together and actually do something more than just talk. Which means we have a constitutional right to do more than just complain about our government. Now, how often do we watch the news or we talk about what's going on, certainly in D.C., absolutely in Austin, or maybe right here even in Hood County, and all we do is complain about it. We're only using a fraction of our right. We can do so much more, even according to the Constitution. And we absolutely should. And I think we talked about it tonight. We're seeing this grassroots movement here in Hood County. I think that needs to continue to build. Okay? Because until we actually let the government know that we're serious, we're not just that noise that's annoying. We need to be a little bit more than just annoying. We need to let them know what is right and what is wrong. Because to me, that's not just a right, that's an obligation. Okay? Now I'm going to double back to that first one. We talked about the right to peaceably assemble. And here's a good object lesson or a real life story. How many of y'all are old enough to remember 2020? Good. How many of y'all remember hearing some executive orders coming down out of Austin and even here in Hood County that said, you can't gather in a group larger than, and the numbers changed a little bit, 12, 10, some kind of arbitrary number because some guy in a lab coat who gets really good money decided that was a good number to be a safe number, right? Y'all remember that? Yes. Matter of fact, a lot of people had to cancel their kid's birthday party because the birthday party would have been too large of an assembly. Was that a lawful restriction? No. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I had a friendly debate with the gentleman here in town, a very educated man, who he genuinely believed the best way to resolve the problem with those executive orders was for somebody to receive a citation for a violation so they could get in front of a judge, so a judge could tell us that that was either right or wrong. I have a problem with that. And my problem is actually a fairly big problem. Because, one, I take an oath, right? And our oath has some priorities in it. We can see the hierarchy in our oath, what our first obligation is to. And if you don't know what it is, I'll give you a hint. We call it the supreme law of the land. That means something, right? That means my first obligation is not to the laws, and certainly not to executive orders. My first obligation is to the Constitution. Now, are there times when there's some gray areas, and we might need some judges or some courts to define for us what is right and wrong? Sure. I mean, there's times where it's a little murky. Is that murky? No. That seems pretty darn clear to me. Okay? And so my problem with me going and issuing a citation that I know is wrong, because it goes against the supreme law of the land, what kind of defense did the Nazis have in the Nuremberg trials? I was given orders. How well did that defense play out for them? Over 160 people were convicted in the Nuremberg trials, despite the fact that I was simply following orders. Folks, we have to be a lot better about knowing what the Constitution says so that 2020 never happens again. Because we're on a path that if we're not careful, we're going to wind up again. So our elected officials, our guys that wear a uniform and a badge and a gun like me, we need to know the Constitution. And I'm sorry, some people might be offended when I say that our law enforcement don't know the Constitution. I don't say that to hurt feelings, but it's the truth. I was in the military. I served in the Air Force and the Army National Guard. I took an oath to this Constitution a number of times and had no clue what it said. How can I defend something if I don't know what it says? And I don't mean that as an indictment on the individual wearing the uniform, but the system that they work in. Because we don't make it a priority. We don't teach our law enforcement. We don't teach our elected officials. We don't even complain to them that they should know the Constitution. And we should. We absolutely should exercise those rights enumerated in the First Amendment, freedom of speech, our ability to petition the government for redress of grievances. We need to protest and make sure that they know that they're obligated to this document above and beyond any other piece of paper that comes before them. Okay? The laws are in there. My oath is to the laws, not only of the United States, but of this state. But that comes after the Constitution. So let's continue this ball rolling. Let's make sure we get people involved. And I want to close with a quote. This is James Madison in Federalist 51, where he says, "If men were angels, no government would be necessary. But if angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary." Do we have angels running our government? We do not. That's why this exists. That's why this exists. Let's make sure that they know that this exists and that they're supposed to uphold their oath to this document. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.